22-year-old Maya Turner did everything right. She told her roommates where she was going. She went for a run during daylight hours, on a popular trail she knew well. Her location tracking was on. Her phone charged. She even managed to dial 911. And still, it wasn't enough. It was February 22, 2024, an ordinary Thursday morning in Brookhaven, South Carolina, near the campus of Palmetto State University. 18 minutes after Maya left for what should have been a normal jog, her heart stopped beating in the woods behind Lake Woodson. The investigation that followed would uncover a predator who had slipped through every crack in the system, a man arrested multiple times but never stopped. A man Maya fought with every ounce of strength she had, leaving behind the DNA that would expose him. Her death would spark outrage, reform, and one of the fastest-moving laws in modern American history. From tragedy to legislation, all in less than a year. Born on January 10, 2002, in Greenville, South Carolina, Maya grew up in a blended family as the eldest of four. Her mother, Erin Parker, worked as a school counselor for over 2 decades, known for her patience and warmth. Maya's siblings, Lila, Kate, and Evan, described her as the heart of their family. She had a way of turning ordinary moments into something special. On her roommate Chloe Hale's 22nd birthday, she transformed their apartment with balloons, streamers, and cupcakes before sunrise, because that's who Maya was. Her faith guided her life. At New Haven Church, she joined mission trips and volunteered at shelters. During a trip to Honduras in 2019, she wrote online, "God used me in ways I didn't think possible." Just months before her death, she wrote in her journal to her future husband, thanking God for a man she hadn't yet met, and promising to build a life centered on faith and love. She never got that chance. At Riverbend High School, Maya ran cross-country for 4 years. She wasn't the fastest, but she was the most selfless, once giving up her spot in the state finals so a teammate could compete instead. Her coach remembered her as the most unselfish runner I've ever coached. After graduation in 2020, she enrolled at Palmetto State University, where she joined the Alpha Chi sorority. Later, she transferred to Charleston University's College of Nursing, dreaming of working in pediatrics. By her junior year, she'd earned Dean's List honors and proudly walked the stage at her white coat ceremony, symbolizing the start of her journey as a nurse. She was a nanny, a volunteer at nursing homes, and a tour guide on weekends. Her friends said she radiated warmth, always laughing, always dancing. One said, "You could never feel lonely around Maya." She noticed everyone. In early 2024, Maya and Chloe began training for their first marathon. Their running routes were familiar, safe trails, well-lit parks, places they trusted. One of those trails ran along the edge of Lake Woodson, a wooded area near campus that Maya had jogged countless times before. At 9 a.m. on February 22, she left her apartment, captured on the door camera smiling and adjusting her ponytail. She wore black leggings, a gray jacket, white trainers, and her smartwatch. She called her mom as she began her run. 2 minutes later, a trail camera caught her jogging, phone in hand, music in her ears. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. At 9:10 a.m., her smartwatch showed a sudden stop. Within seconds, her iPhone triggered its SOS emergency call, dialing 911 automatically. The call lasted 40 seconds before cutting off. Dispatchers called back twice. No answer. Data from her smartwatch told the rest of the story, an 18-minute struggle. Her heart rate spiked, then began to fall. The watch moved nearly 60 feet off the trail into the woods. Maya had fought for her life. When officers later reviewed the data, they realized she'd scratched her attacker. Beneath her fingernails was his DNA, evidence that would seal his fate. While Maya lay dying, her mother was trying to reach her. Calls went unanswered. Texts went from calm to panic. "Call me when you can." Then, "You're making me nervous." Finally, "Please call me. I'm worried sick." By 11:30 a.m., Her roommates checked her location on Find My iPhone. It hadn't moved in 2 hours. They drove to the trail, searching. They found one of her AirPods lying in the dirt, the music still faintly playing. They rushed home and called police. By 12:20 p.m., officers began their search. 18 minutes later, Sergeant David Merritt found her, 60 feet off the trail, partially hidden under leaves. Her phone lay nearby. His body camera caught the moment he gasped, dropped to his knees, and started CPR. "No pulse," he radioed. "Blunt force trauma." The autopsy revealed the horror of what had happened. Multiple skull fractures. Signs of strangulation. Bruises, scrapes, and injuries consistent with a brutal attack. But no completed sexual assault, only an attempt. She had fought with everything she had until her final heartbeat at 9:28 a.m. The same evening, investigators found a dark jacket in a dumpster near an apartment complex less than a mile away. Maya's blood was on it. DNA matched a man named Javier Ortega, a 26-year-old Venezuelan national living in the U.S. illegally. His DNA was also found under Maya's fingernails. The probability of a false match, 1 in 10 billion. Surveillance footage showed him walking near the trail before the murder, and again afterward, disposing of the jacket. He had visible scratches on his arms and neck. His story kept changing. Within 24 hours, he was arrested and charged with Maya's murder. The case built itself piece by piece, blood on the jacket, his fingerprint on her phone, her hair found in his apartment, and mobile data showing both phones in the same location during the attack. There was no doubt. But the bigger question was, how was Javier Ortega even here? His record told a devastating story. He had crossed the border illegally twice in 2 years, assaulted an officer, and had multiple arrests for theft and child endangerment, none of which led to detention. Each time, he was released. Each time, he vanished. Until he found Maya. When the trial began in November 2024, the courtroom was silent as the prosecutor described Maya's final moments, her courage, her fight, her mark of defiance that ultimately convicted her killer. The judge called the forensic evidence overwhelming and undeniable. Ortega was sentenced to life in prison without parole, plus an additional 27 years for related charges. Maya's mother stood in court, holding her daughter's white nurse's coat, her voice breaking as she said, "He took away our chance to see her graduate. To see her live the life she dreamed of." Her sister spoke next, "We are 3 now instead of 4. And the silence she left behind is louder than anything." Outside the courthouse, a movement had already begun. Lawmakers proposed new safety measures for university campuses and background checks for parole releases. Within 9 months, a new federal law was passed in Maya's name, the Turner Act, aimed at improving student safety and reforming system failures that let dangerous offenders roam free. Maya Turner's story is one of light and loss, of a young woman who did everything right and a system that did everything wrong. But even in her final moments, she left behind the evidence that would bring justice, and the legacy that would protect others.